Yet another tremor rends the already precarious scaffolding of the one true king, OTK, that self-proclaimed bastion of content-driven supremacy.
Never spoken about drama in 5 years on this stream. But just know that OTK hears you guys. I hear you guys. Changes have to happen if it's going to continue to exist as a org.
Damn.
I think a lot of people forget that an org is more than just the faces on streams. It's a lot of people. It's a lot of people's livelihoods, and at Christmas we had to lay a ton of people off. And that
he wants Asmongold to get kicked for Hassan, by the way. Is that true? Will and Hassan go way back in terms of being like close friends. But despite that, I feel like I've never heard. I just feel like I've never heard anything bad. At least as far as I'm concerned, I have never heard anything bad that Will Neff has done, aside from other Dan obsessed shit. Has Will Neff ever come out and said some like wild to cover for Hassan? I feel like he's generally like pretty outside of all of that. Like he doesn't like get involved in any of that type of drama or make any comments on that or anything. No.
And at Christmas we had to lay a ton of people off, and that sucked. Especially for me, I know those people. I love those people. And I always want to do what I can to make sure they can hang on to their livelihoods. And so just know that we're trying to make changes to make it a better org. And you'll probably hear more about that in the future, the immediate future. And if we can't make it a better place, if we can't make it a happier, healthier place, then I'll have to reevaluate where I stand. But that's all I'm going to say about that, because I'm not trying to farm this. I don't even want to talk about it. Don't.
One of the things I don't get, that I feel like was a failure. This is a vibe, and I could be totally wrong, but I feel like this is a failure in a lot of these streamer houses. I view offline TV similarly, as I feel like they make these orgs, and then they get a lot of these streamers, but I feel like the brand itself is never really elevated over any of the individual streamers. Like it just feels like basically like imagine if me, Dan, and Mooten had made an org called like the Dally Band. Like, oh, we have an org now, but it's like the three of us. Like nothing really changes, nothing happens. Does OTK do? Like, I'm just curious, what is the org for? I'm not trying to show anyone. Like, I like the idea of orgs, of like streamers creating organizations to do events and everything, but I just don't know what, they just collaborate more? Yeah, but I mean, they collaborate anyway, no? Like, do you really need an org for that? It's pooling of resources for bigger events. Yeah, but can't they do that anyway? Like, what are they pooling? It's not like they're individually contributing money to the project, right? Maybe it's so that another org, another entity can raise money on its own, maybe? I think as an organization, they can leverage more money too. I mean, at this point, streamers make so much money. What do you need the organization for? Like, it's pretty gross, the amount of money that flows through this industry now. And I can only imagine these guys... Like, what do you need the org for? It's waste, fraud, and abuse. It's not just money, it's having staff on hand to take care of stuff. Individually, you're much less likely to hire a project manager. Yeah, but do these guys have... Like, what do their staff do? Could they have something like the OTK Games Expo if they weren't in an org? Oh, maybe not. I don't even know what that is. That would be a thing. Okay. OTK Games Expo. What was that?
No defense. I was just going straight DPS to see what we could do.
Rock guy is going absolute game and create your.
Where is this being held at? Well, this is a cool event. Okay. It could just be that I'm just not like connected to Twitch culture as much anymore, so I just don't keep track of shit like this. But okay.
Now burdened by the inexorable gravitational pull of its own overextended ambition. Once a shimmering mirage of unity, a Pantagruelian syndicate of digital luminaries congealed in the pursuit of cybernetic dominion, OTK now finds itself ensnared in the venomous tendrils of ideological discord, financial desiccation, and, most lethally, the nebulous specter of identity crisis. It is within this crucible of existential perturbation that the enigmatic Neff, a man whose affability belies an undercurrent of political maneuvering, dares to traverse the treacherous minefield of corporate candor. With the diplomatic finesse of a statesman caught betwixt loyalty and pragmatism, he murmurs of organizational turbulence, of livelihoods upended, of structural maladies that, though left unnamed, cast an ominous pall over the continued existence of the embattled confederation. But to the discerning observer, to those unburdened by the myopia of platitudinous diplomacy, the subtext is crystalline in its implication. The precipitating agent of OTK's decay is the ideological trajectory of its progenitor, a man whose increasing entanglement with the right-wing ether has become a fiscal toxin, repelling the lubricative largesse of corporate benefactors. Yet, as the discourse metastasizes beyond Neff's perfumed evasions, it is the unsparing analytical rapier of destiny that shall cleave through the obfuscatory miasma, dissecting with surgical brutality the untenable foundation upon which OTK's crumbling edifice is precariously perched. To examine the cataclysm currently besieging OTK is to recognize a truth long whispered within the inner sanctums of the digital Konasheni, that the Gilded Age of streamer-led organizations was, from its very inception, a construct teetering upon the brink of implosion. The monolithic allure of streaming, that radiant beacon of independent entrepreneurship, was never an end unto itself, but a temporary illusion, a transient deviation from the inexorable pull of corporatized media hegemony. OTK, Offline TV, 100 Thieves. Each of these coalitions, no matter how fervently they brandish the aesthetic of independent content sovereignty, found themselves ensnared by the same brutal calculus that governs all capitalistic endeavors. Scalability necessitates centralization. Centralization necessitates bureaucratization. And bureaucratization necessitates the subjugation of individual autonomy to the whims of financial sustainability. Destiny, ever the cartographer of the ideological terrain, now wades into the turbulent waters of this unraveling paradigm, interrogating with unsparing rigor the very raison d'etre of these organizations. What he muses is the intrinsic necessity of the streamer organization. Is it a sine qua non of industry evolution, an indispensable vehicle for creative synergy and resource aggregation? Or is it, in its very essence, a contrived vestige of an era wherein the internet's gold rush permitted for the unchecked proliferation of vanity projects masquerading as institutional legitimacy? What is an org, Destiny postulates, if not merely an extension of its constituent figureheads? Has OTK ever transcended the brand gravity of its individual luminaries? Ever evolved beyond the sum of its parts? Or has it, as many suspect, functioned as little more than a bureaucratic husk, a conglomerate devoid of substantive identity, perpetually shackled to the erratic fortunes of its most controversial members? These inquiries, though posed with a semblance of rhetorical innocence, are in truth daggers plunged into the heart of OTK's precarious legitimacy. For if Destiny's thesis holds, if these organizations are indeed no more than illusory constructs, ephemeral sandcastles eroded by the unrelenting tides of streaming's capricious economy, then the question ceases to be why OTK has found itself in a state of peril, and instead becomes how it has managed to stave off its inevitable collapse for so long. One cannot, however, fully apprehend the present implosion of OTK without scrutinizing the specific agent of its corporate estrangement, that foul-tasting elixir of reactionary indulgence, which has rendered it a financial pariah among the oligarchs of digital sponsorship. Though Neff refrains from unsheathing the blade of direct attribution, the observant soothsayer of Twitchian lore need not squint to recognize the silhouette of the specter he dares not name. It is no secret that one of OTK's founding architects, in his gradual pilgrimage toward the sanctum of right-wing contrarianism, has become anathema to the financial overlords who once propped up the organization's gilded ambitions. Corporations, though garbed in the benevolent vestments of market-driven neutrality, are in truth meticulous arbiters of risk mitigation. They do not wed themselves to controversy, nor do they bestow their patronage upon those who dance perilously close to the radioactive glow of political discord. And thus, as the gravitational pull of this ideological contagion grew insurmountable, as the algorithms of corporate calculus determined that continued association with OTK posed an untenable liability, the exodus commenced. Sponsorships vanished, revenue streams atrophied, and the once impenetrable fortress of OTK found itself mortally perforated, hemorrhaging both credibility and capital in equal measure. Destiny, ever the cynic, recognizes within this saga the ironclad inevitability of corporate self-preservation. To his razor-sharp analytical mind, OTK's unraveling is not an aberration, nor a singular misfortune, but the textbook consequence of an organization failing to comprehend the fundamental realities of contemporary digital patronage. The sponsors of the streaming industrial complex do not subsidize controversy. They underwrite predictability. And in the volatile theater of modern-day streaming, where ideological fault lines dictate financial sustainability, deviation from the path of least resistance is a fiscal death sentence. And so, we return to the fatal crossroads upon which OTK now stands, its survival contingent upon the outcome of a brutal, zero-sum dialectic. Will it excise the malignancy festering within its ranks, amputating the ideological gangrene before it metastasizes beyond repair? Or shall it, in its obstinate reluctance to sever its ties to controversy, resign itself to the grim fate of irrelevance, consigned to the annals of failed digital enterprises? Destiny, with the unflinching pragmatism that has become his trademark, sees no middle path. There exists no avenue through which OTK may simultaneously court financial viability while tolerating the ideological indiscretions that have precipitated its downfall. The market, cruel and impersonal, does not entertain sentimentality. It does not reward nostalgia. It does not abide by the wishful delusions of those who fail to recognize the terminus of their own viability. If OTK is to endure, it must be reforged anew, its structure purified of the albatrosses that now encumber it. If it cannot muster the resolve to enact such a metamorphosis, then its fate is already sealed, and destiny, in his detached omniscience, shall stand atop the smoldering ruins, arms folded, murmuring with the resigned amusement of a prophet proven correct. I told you so.